Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast. In this episode, we're going to have my buddy Darrell Dickens come on again to tell us all about his season and the success that they had. And, we're just going to see where it goes. Last week's episode with Greg was quite the episode, man. Hope you guys enjoyed it. A lot of truth being spoken in that episode. So if you haven't listened to it yet, go back and listen to it. And I really, I just want to thank all of you guys for listening. We are going to be getting featured on the Sportsman's Empire. I think, honestly, this episode is probably going to be the first one. So go support them. That's kind of leading me into the partners, but I wanted to sort of highlight that because the change is coming. From now on, we will be on the Sportsman's Empire Network. You can go follow that on Apple, Spotify, and you can listen to my show as well as a bunch of other shows, including Nine Figure Chronicles that Dan actually does himself. So really excited about that. I hope, it actually, not really, I hope. I have a pretty solid feeling that that's going to help the podcast grow and get us to more listeners and all that sort of stuff, which is kind of the point. We're trying to bring good hunting content to everybody that wants to listen, talk about the Lord, and, do what God calls us to do. So before we get into it, Darrell, let me run off the partners real quick. You guys know we have to do this every week. And I use all of these things. Every single thing that's on here, I am using and I fully believe in. So let's start it off with Osseo Gear. Osseo Gear is a camo brand that I have been using now for a couple of years, dude. Best camo brand or best camo company that I have used in my personal opinion. The products speak for themselves. There is really no comparison in my opinion. And it's got a really sick design. They've got the the Raptor design, which is the OG, and then they've got the Rap X, which is new, came out last year. That's more geared towards the Western side of things, which when I go to Colorado, that's what I'll be using. But here back in the States, when it's not super cold, or not, I shouldn't say in the States, here back in Georgia, when it's not super cold, this past season I was using the OG pattern, and then when it got cold, throw on that Rap X, and dude, I love everything that Osseo makes. So very, very excited to continue the relationship with those guys in 26 and see what's coming up, what they got coming this year. Let's see. Next up is going to be Summit Stands. The Climber put in some good work this past season. Definitely looking to sort of get more on the hang-on side of things. But the Climber did its job. I love it. I still plan to use it. And Summit should be coming out with some new stuff this year anyway. So go support those guys. Let's see. Next up is the Boutique. So I actually was talking with Mike today. Dude, we got some stuff in the works. There's going to be a Southeast Bow Hunter Boutique collab custom build thing that we just started talking about. So it's going to take some time to do because he is stupid busy. Super busy. The things he was telling me, I'm like, dude, how are you even doing it? But he makes the best arrow wraps in the game. So if you want a custom build, or if you want a custom arrow wrap set for your own set of arrows, definitely go over to the Boutique and either reach out to him about a custom order or go check out everything that he offers that you can just buy outright. He does monthly wraps, so like monthly designs that come out obviously every month, and they're literally the most unique wraps that I've ever seen and the highest quality I've ever used. So please go support him. Next up is Bergie Bowsmith, Bow Wizard, dealer for all of the brands that we use. Head over to his website, Bergie Bowsmith, and help support him. G5 Outdoors. So, I'm actually making a change. I'm glad that deer season's over in the sense that I can now start looking at what I used last year and maybe switch some stuff up if I need to. I'm still going to be running the G5 Mega Meat, no doubt there, but I do think I am going to drop down to 100 grain point instead of 125. And here's my reason. I like the fact that the 450 grains that I'm using right now penetrates very well. But the drop that I have noticed at longer distances, I don't really like that. Now, that could be because of vein configuration. That could be a whole bunch of different things. But I am going to probably be dropping to 100 grain Mega Meat. I have some upstairs that I can build. I've got blades. So literally you can take the Dead Meat V2, get some Mega Meat blades, slide those blades in that ferrule, and it all works the same. That is what I love about this, is you can interchange things. Like this broadhead right here is 125. I don't know if you can see it. The 125 grain Dead Meat V2. Say you like it, but you want some bigger cut. Take those blades out, get some Here, you know what? That's not helping. Take these blades out, put in some Mega Meat blades, and now you have a Mega Meat. It's that simple. So G5 knows what they're doing. I trust them. That's the only broadhead that I plan on using for, I mean, really the foreseeable future. And they got you covered from mechanicals all the way to fixed blades. Let's see. Next up is Prime Archery. So this week, at time of recording this, I have yet to shoot the Prime Divide. I'm going possibly tomorrow or Friday. It really depends. I'm kind of shooting for tomorrow to go swing up by Ace over in Social Circle and shoot some of the new bows. I just need to see if they have the one that I would actually want to see if I like that more. I'm kind of thinking about going with the 33 with the speed mods at a 7-inch brace height. Because I actually have never hunted with a 7-inch brace height bow. I have shot some, and the draw cycle seemed a lot smoother. And with Prime, I mean, they have the smoothest draw cycle on the market, and their bows are still wicked fast. So, if you guys are in the market for a new bow, deer season for a lot of us is over. Tack is coming up. The summer's coming up. Those of you that shoot your bow constantly, like I try to do, if you're looking to get away, or maybe I shouldn't even say away, if you're looking to change up what you shoot, say you shoot a competitor, and you're like, I really like the new Prime Divide. I like how it looks. The form last year was pretty cool, which that's what I'm shooting currently. And you want to try it, head over to Prime Archery, check out the 8 different bows that you could order from them. Because the new Divide ranges from 31 to 33 to 35 to 37, and they all come in a wide range of colors. And they also come in 6-inch or 7-inch brace height. Me personally, what I'm planning on doing, like I said, is the 33 speed mods with the 7-inch brace height and full Osseo gear pattern. That's just my preference. So yes, please go support Prime. They are a great company ran by some really great people. Next up is Dialed Archery. So dude, Dialed, I gotta say this outright. Dialed is by far my favorite site that I've ever used. It's super tough, super easy to set up. The small batch stuff that they use is incredible. I love when they come out with a new thing and it's like, dude, how did you come up with this idea? It's really, really sick. So head over to Dialed Archery, check out everything they have to offer. Again, TAC is coming up. I am probably going to re-sight in my bow at some point in the next month or so with the new build set up and all that stuff. Just want to make sure that I don't lose any arrows when I go to TAC, which I will be at the Tennessee TAC this year. Me and Josh are going to head up there again. And I'm trying to get a few more buddies to go with us so we can have like a whole little crew or whatever. Kind of trying to convince the wife to go too, which I don't know how that's going to work out. But yeah, dude, Dialed Archery is just a staple in the industry at this point, and they have the best bow sights on the market. I mean, let's just be honest here. So head over there, check out everything they have to offer, and yeah, please go support them. Let's see. Next up is Moultrie. So my Moultries are still working great, still seeing deer. I swear these deer know when deer season's over because the camera's been blowing up like crazy. But they're working flawlessly. I love it. I do plan on running probably getting about 2 or 3 more cameras, running either the new Edge 3 Pro or the Edge Solar, just because I really want to start getting more spots, which I'm gonna need more cameras for it, and I want to sort of branch out a little bit on the spots I already have, trying to figure out where these deer are coming from. That was a big thing this past season was cameras were working, but I wasn't 100% sure where the deer were really traveling. And scouting necessarily in these 2 spots that I've got don't it works, but in season scouting doesn't really work that well. They're very finicky. Georgia deer are like that, and I'm sure me and Darrell are going to talk about this. And so I want a camera that's going to do its job, and Moultrie is the one that I choose. Let's see. Next up is bow hunting league. So, like I said, our deer season here is over in Georgia, at least the regular season. So the bow hunting league, I think the whole competition or the contest or whatever it is ends end of this month or maybe end of February. But dude, they are changing the game with bow hunting. They really, really are. They are bringing a lot of people together in a really tight knit community with a lot of good dudes. And they also offer a state sponsorship now. So if you're in Georgia and you want to be a state sponsor for next year, or I think actually it's just for the whole year. Yeah, it's for the whole year. So if you want to be a state sponsor, reach out, go to thebowhuntingleague.com, find where you sign up for that. Tell them that we sent you. Tell them that Southeastern Bowhunter sent you. And you get a ton of perks. All right. It's only $100 a year. You get a ton of perks. I think you get a shirt, you get a banner. Like if you're in the hunting space or you run an Instagram, YouTube channel, whatever it is, go do that. You will see, you will understand once you do it why. Let's see. Next up is boning archery. Gonna probably be using those for the new build. I'm thinking an orange color. That's all I'm gonna say. White is really, I love all white arrows, but well, all white wraps and veins, but probably gonna go orange this year. So once it's done, I'll show you guys. But the boning veins been working great. I see no reason to change. Next up, scrape doctor. I actually will be starting some general scrapes, not not the like hunting. I don't want to say hunting scrapes, but not like the rut scrapes or anything like that. Just community scrapes. I'll probably be starting to put those out early spring. Trying to get these deer to consistently come through. Scrape doctors, it works. Scrape doctor, scrape magic works. Let's see, victory archery. So I have the HLRs right now. That's what I'm going to be using probably for a good minute. Uh, See no reason to change. I mean, they're just like the RIP TKOs. I didn't even need the HLRs. I just wanted to try them out. And the RIP TKOs and HLRs are what I've been shooting, and I absolutely love them. They do have a whole new line of arrows to choose from. They got the VLRs. It's the only one I can't. That's the only one I remember. I really need to go through and look at all of them. But if you want some new arrows, again, TAC is coming up. You're gonna need arrows. The hunting season is a good minute away, about 8 months away for us. Plenty of time to build new builds, to test out new stuff, and Victory will have you covered. Victory makes the best arrow in the industry by far, in my opinion. I absolutely love it. Even if I stop working with them at some point, God forbid, I'll still shoot Victory. And last but not least is Catalyst Archery, which is a newish partner for the podcast. They are a stabilizer company, and the thing I like about them is I actually have them. If you're watching the video, you can see right there. That is a 10-inch bar, and then down there is an 8-inch bar. Dude, the difference between my old stabilizers and those is night and day. I never knew stabilizers were that important, and I cannot wait to get Brian on the podcast to talk about all this stuff. He makes a high quality stabilizer for a very affordable price. And I actually had a buddy of mine reach out to me not that long ago, like a week or two ago, saying he wanted to get some, use the code, and save some money. So hope he's happy with that. I know you guys would be if you gave them a shot. And dude, go support him. Please go support all of these partners. Everything is listed in the description below. We've got the promo codes, we've got the website links. Please go support them. So that's it for the partners. Before we jump into it, Darrell, I got to talk to y'all about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I do this every single episode. If you skip over it, please don't. Please don't, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to believe, okay? But from my own experience, living in a worldly sense years ago, and some of you guys who've been listening to this since the beginning, you can see, you can go back and you can look and see like how I was acting and who I was, and like the fact that Jesus changed me to who I am now. It's astonishing. My family is so much more like well put together. Um, and I've seen blessing on blessing on blessing, and that doesn't mean that the whole idea is that, oh, you give your life to Christ, your life's so much better. Honestly, it's kind of the opposite in a sense, because you are hit with trials, you're hit with um tests and stuff like that, and it's not bad. It's done, like God allows that to happen to build you up into a more faithful person, a stronger person. When you learn to rely on Christ, there is literally nothing that can break you. I mean, truly. Um, I was talking to a good buddy of mine today, and he was telling me about how a year ago he was going through a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. And I remember telling him when he was telling me about this stuff, I'm like, listen, man, that door is closing because God's opening up a bigger door for you, right? And I fully believe that. Um, Now his life is extremely busy, but he was telling me today that like everything that's happened since then, which it's a lot better, right? His life has completely changed. He gave his life to Christ, got baptized, he's involved in the church. And dude, I was getting teary-eyed today when he was telling me that. And that's what Jesus will do for you. When you have Jesus to fall back on, or not even fall back on, when you have Jesus to walk with you in your daily life, it's so hard to explain, but the best thing I can say is you're at peace, right? you're at peace. And that is something that is just unbelievably valuable. So I'm not going to get all, preachy here or whatever, but if you guys are struggling with anything, if you're kind of on the fence, you're questioning, like, do I believe this Jesus stuff? Do I believe he was, who he said he was and that he actually existed and that he did die on the cross and all of that stuff? I can make it very simple for you. Okay, this is the gospel. That Jesus was the Son of God. He died on the cross for all of our sins, covered all of our sins, past, present, future. Rose again 3 days later, and whoever believes in him, which means whoever trusts in him, whoever places their faith in him, will not perish but have eternal life. That's the gospel right there. Everything else is all historical stuff that is true and is important. And there's a lot of teaching in the New Testaments and the New Testament as a whole. There's a lot of teaching in there that is very, very valuable and will lead you to a more, I guess, Christ-like life that will improve where you fall. It's done it for me. But the gospel is that simple. So, look, thank you guys for listening to me ramble about that. It's been on my mind a lot, and I love to use this platform to give God the glory. Um, so yeah, that's all of that. That's the whole intro. Yeah, Darrell's waiting on us. Let's get started with Darrell Dickens. Read the title. You already know who this man is. He is a local legend, Mister I kill 150s every year. At least that's what he's been doing lately. We got Mister Darrell Dickens on the podcast again, and dude, you know what's funny is me and Thor talk quite a bit, right? And every time that either of us is stumped with something, one of us is always like, just ask Darrell. He'll know. He knows what to do. And it's like you you just are good at this. I mean, you posted some on Facebook the other day, and I saw your family's success for the season. And I saw that buck you shot. I was just like, dude, I it proves there's 150s in Georgia at least, right? Like you've been killing it. You've been killing it lately. I gotta give you your flowers, man. You have absolutely been killing it. So I guess before we dive into the season recap, now that the season's over, what has been going on with you, man? How long has it been since you've been on the podcast?
It's,
Almost a year.
yeah, it's been just a touch over a year.
So yeah, what's been going on other than killing big deer?
Same old thing as last year. Football. Now we're into basketball. But I did start predator hunting a little bit more this winter. So kind of going full force on that right now at nights.
You've been what have you? So all right, so let's touch on that first. So you've been out there a lot, and you've killed what, two black coyotes already?
I've killed 3 since November.
Oh my gosh. How I always thought black coyotes were rare. Is that not the case?
I mean, it kind of seems like there's pockets of them.
Okay.
Like this track over here by my house, I've killed 4 off of it over the years.
Good.
Yeah, and there's another track that I've killed 2 off of, but that was like I think I killed those about 10 years ago, and I got another black one that's hanging around over there. So
It's one on camera in 6 years, and I've never seen him again. He just popped up one spring like 2 or 3 years ago,
mhm.
and just because see that's the weird part. Like everybody that I see on Facebook always talk about how important predator hunting is. And my question is, how do you even find these guys? Like I've seen their sign. Josh, when he killed his big buck last year, the coyotes got to before we did. And so I mean they're around,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's just I just never see them. And then I watch, like Seek One and stuff, and almost every other video they've got coyotes running through. So I mean, is it just like you have to be in the right spot, or like what's I guess what's the tactics when it comes down to predator hunting?
Um, yeah, right spot. But like you, the last 2 years, I've seen one coyote while I was deer hunting, but
Yeah.
at night or when I'm trying to hunt them, they're there, but they're just more nocturnal animal. They're more nocturnal than anything. That's why most of the time when you get them on camera, they're at nighttime.
Okay. So are you using like e-calls or bait or anything like that?
No bait, just electronic collars and a good setup. That's you got to have them there, but your setup is key as far as
What?
calling in, not getting busted, not getting busted putting out the call or setting up, before I get to or before I enter a field, I'm always scanning with my thermal to make sure there's nothing out there because sometimes they're already out there.
Yeah. Are you having to set up in like a tree stand, or how are you doing it?
No, if when I'm at hunting night, then I'll set up with a tripod. Just
Wow, so you're just like sitting in the field with a tripod.
correct. Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
Holy crap.
And you're constantly. I got a thermal scanner, so I'll scan with it. A lot of guys just use their scope to scan, but the scanner is a lot. It's about the size of a rangefinder. It's a lot easier to work with. You don't
So
get it.
then how are you seeing them? Do you have a thermal scope?
Yeah, I got a thermal scope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Got it. Got it. So you're just sitting there in the middle of the night with predators around, just killing. That's great.
yeah. It's definitely different than going out there and deer hunting. It's,
Yeah.
I will during the day. I will get in a deer stand, but at night it's just hard to swing in a deer stand, with your rifle, and it gets tiring when you're trying to hold your rifle. That's why the tripod is very important.
I got you. So have you ever had a moment? Because I know this probably doesn't happen a lot, but in my crazy mind, I always would think like, all right, I'm sitting on the field edge. What's to say a coyote or something doesn't come walking up behind you? Like, have you ever had that happen?
I always, when I can, try to put something but where something's behind me where they don't want to go. Sometimes it's a paved road, sometimes it's a body of water, sometimes it's a an open area behind me. So I try to do where they're not going to come behind me, but you can't do that every set. Um, but yeah, just the other night we had one about 20 yards from us that where we weren't thinking they were going to come, but he was trying to get behind us, and yeah, we ended up not even killing him, but yeah, he was super close.
That's so crazy. So, I mean, I guess we always hear the general thought really is that coyotes are a nuisance, right?
Hmm.
What what are we actually seeing out there? Are the numbers still like just ridiculously high, or is their impact not as bad around our area? Because where we are, yeah, we have them, but I know up in North Georgia, they supposedly are killing left and right. Like they're killing deer left and right, fawns. Uh, I think I heard a story one time about one or two taking down a buck. Like, is that are we seeing a high impact from coyotes around this area, or is it just sort of
Man, I couldn't even really answer that question. I mean, it's not like you go around seeing bodies all over the place.
well, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Uh,
yeah,
but whatever gets killed, they'll definitely eat and take advantage of, and they'll eat anything. They're pretty much survivalists. They're eating fruit,
yeah,
whatever's out there, they'll eat. They're not going to starve for sure.
yeah. Do they do? It's interesting with them. Like I've heard people again. I haven't had any really interaction. I've heard them, right? But I've never actually seen one up close. I mean, I've seen them in the field a couple of times. Hell, I had one over in Conyers run right out in front of my truck, and I almost clipped him.
Dang.
And it was right by my hunting spot too. That's the only time I think I've actually seen one up close in the wild, right? But um
You're not
I
gonna have, you're not gonna have but so many in a certain area because they're territorial.
yes, that's what I was just about to ask you about. So like my uncle lives in Colorado and they've got wolves and coyotes out there, and he was saying that what they've noticed out there is that something's changing. I don't know if it's the wolves. It probably has something to do with that. But he was saying the coyotes are starting to pack up. Like you'll see a group of coyotes that there's four or five of them in a group. Do
Well,
we don't really have that here, right?
they go through what they'll do is go through phases. Right now, we're getting the beginning of the coyote rut,
Oh,
which
okay.
normally around the middle of February, give or take a week or so. And after they mate, then they'll start the denning phase where they're getting ready for the pups and everything. And then around April they'll start having pups, and then that's when you'll from April to about October. That's when you might see three or four together. Because that's a family, and then they have the family bust up, and then it's just the whole cycle's all over again. So you might see right now I'm seeing pairs, like mating pairs are together right now, and then you have singles, of course. But yeah, that's what's going on. They're getting together right now to mate.
So is it true that someone told me one time that when you shoot, like if you see two coyotes, kill one of them, that next one, is it like, do they go back on the search? Like they'll just start really
Oh,
cruising around trying to find one?
they kind of, I guess you call it mate for life. A lot of them will mate with the same mates each year until something happens. Then that one's going to try to find a new mate.
Got it. Okay. Dude, I didn't know that. Coyotes were like deer. They're just hitting whatever presents itself.
No,
I didn't know it was like that.
no, it's not like that.
So cool. See, this is a world I know nothing about, right? Like Brock was telling me that he went bobcat hunting up in Michigan, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. He sent me pictures of bobcats. I'm like, yeah, see, I couldn't shoot one. I know that sounds crazy to some people, but I don't know if I could do it. Same thing with like mountain lions, but a coyote, I might be able to. And I have a German Shepherd, so I don't know. I might do it one day and then be like, dude, what did I just do? You know? But that's just me.
I'm, I'm not going to shoot a bobcat or a fox when I'm sitting in a deer stand or something like that. But
Yeah.
all in them, I'm predator hunting. It's in season. I'll shoot them.
So
Especially
there's still not a limit, right?
no, there's no limit. I always ask the landowners, do you want bobcats or fox shot? Everybody wants the coyote shot, but whatever they want, I'll do. If they don't want them shot, I don't shoot them. I respect what they want, on their property.
Yeah. Good man. People will just do whatever they want. So on the topic of predators, this has nothing to do with coyotes, but I haven't ever really looked because I just never showed any interest in it. But we don't have a mountain lion season, do we?
Oh no, there's none around here.
So then explain to me, because we have them in Georgia, right? Don't we have them like supposedly up in North Georgia, Tennessee line?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Really? Because I had an experience, I say experience. I swear I saw one over on 212, like 3, 4 years ago.
Hmm.
I was driving to Conyers and I came around this corner and this big cat, it was clearly a cat, comes running across the road and its tail was so long and it was bigger than like a bobcat, right?
Yeah.
It goes cruising across the road and I was like, dude, there ain't no way. There'd be no way that that was a mountain lion, but it's the only thing it could have been. So, I mean, do you
Yeah.
think they'll travel? Like, do you think maybe they travel from like Florida to Tennessee? I know it's a long ways, but
I've never done any research on it, so I can't say either way. I don't know. I know
would you
you hear stories, but I've never seen any real proof. You know.
would you shoot one if you had the opportunity?
Uh, yeah,
Obviously.
illegal and everything. Yeah, I'd shoot one.
Okay.
I don't.
I want to know how they taste. I
I
know
don't.
they taste
I
really
would
good.
shoot them over a dog, but if I had calling one in, yeah, I would definitely. That would be pretty cool. That would be the ultimate, the ultimate hunt. Calling
Yeah,
one in. Yeah.
dude, that'd be wild. That'd be insane. I it's been on my mind, because my uncle from Colorado was just here this past weekend, and so we were making like Western hunt plans, and he was telling me about mountain lions that they they apparently are just killing people's pets left and right over there.
Oh
And
yeah.
so it got me thinking, I'm like, well, dude, what about North Georgia? Like, I thought I thought we had some. I swear that I saw somewhere that we did, but maybe they just migrate down and go back up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I'm not.
so bears. What about bears? Have you ever done any bear hunting in Georgia?
No, never had any interest in.
Really? You don't want a bearskin rug or a blueberry bear to eat?
No, no.
My Jessica has been hounding me about that for like the
Oh,
past 4. Yeah, oh yeah. Well,
oh,
and
wow.
the thing is, like, so tell me if this makes sense. You tell me you want a bearskin rug and that you would eat bear. So clearly, let's go hunt bear. But then when hunting season comes around, you don't want me to go hunt as much because family stuff. So how am I supposed to balance this?
Hey, that's
Like,
that's where predator hunting comes in. Everybody's asleep while you're out.
true, true. That is. Yeah, but see, then I can already hear her saying, "Well, I don't want to be home alone, and then I wake up and you're not there." It's what's funny is marriage is hard.
Oh, yeah.
For those listening, marriage is hard. It's well worth it, but it's hard.
Yep.
We have to make a lot of sacrifices. And you actually are the perfect person to talk to about this because I try to model my my balance, I guess, of this and family and stuff based off of how you do it. Because every time we've talked, I swear you're at a practice. It's like you don't even work. You just take your kids to practice all day, is what it seems like. It's crazy. And last year, actually during deer season, Tiffany had volleyball. So I had to sort of,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
remember you
yeah,
were way. You were out my way.
yeah. So what is like, I guess for those who don't know or haven't really figured out the balance yet, how do you balance everything and still be as successful as you are? Because let's be honest, out of the whole group of us, you and Andy are probably the most successful hunters out of the 4 or 5 of us that are in that little group chat and talk all the time. So
Yeah.
there's got to be, I mean, how do you do it?
I, those mornings you wake up and it's not deer season and you're like, man, I just want to sleep in. I get my butt out of bed and I hit the woods in the off season, even though sometimes I don't want to be there. I make myself go and, try to set myself up for success. It doesn't always work, of course, but I push myself when probably others don't. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
know,
So you're saying those mid-July mornings where it's 95 degrees and the sun's not even up yet.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I get out there, hit the road. Sometimes I got to do around a basketball game, so I have like maybe a 3 hour window. Even if I got to get out there at daylight, I get out there at daylight and do what I got to do and be back. But yeah, it's just even during the season, pushing yourself. What I got like 2 hours. Is it worth even going? I could be home and relaxing, and maybe I got a project that's due. Heck with a project, let's go hunting. But you know, that's the thing I think that makes the difference between a lot of successful hunters and not is going. It's easy to stay home. You don't have
Yeah.
that. He's not daylighting, whatever. It's easy to stay home, but I make myself go whenever I have the opportunity to go. But yeah, I try to be in the woods. Sometimes I can only hunt in the mornings. I mean, I hate having to use 10 hours vacation to hunt one morning, but sometimes that's what I got to do to go, you know.
Dude, yeah, I mean, you were very crucial in getting me because I don't know what it was this year, man. I think those cameras, like that church spot just going dead for that, what was it, 2 months, I think,
Yeah.
really made me be like, is the end of deer season here yet? Can we just be done? Like, because it sucked. I mean, and I figured out what the issue was. It was the neighbor building that box blind through deer season, which I still can't wrap my head around. I don't know why you would do that, but it every time I would say anything negative, you would always be like, dude, just go hunt. Like you don't
Look,
know what's gonna happen.
I'll tell you
You
about a
know?
box blind build. It was the weekend of muzzleloader season. All right. We decided we're going to build a box blind over a food plot. I was like, all right, this might mess it up a little bit, but we'll see what happens. So Saturday I was there helping build and I couldn't be there on Sunday and got it built. And the tractor broke down or it had a flat tire right beside the box stand overlooking this food plot. And I didn't know it at the time. I go over there to hunt. This is on a Thursday, brand new box stand. I get up to the stand. I'm like, dang, the tractor's right here. This might not be great. So I hop up in the stand. And then, like an hour later, here comes this 137-inch 10 pointer out in the food plot, pushing does around. So, that kind of stuff sometimes it doesn't make any difference. You know what I mean? But I've been there.
And
It
go
kind of
ahead.
with your mind though. But sometimes it
Well,
doesn't.
and the thing is, like, I should have known, because I'm hunting on, and I may have explained this on the podcast before, I'm sure I have, but that one specific spot is like a funnel between two big pieces of woods, right?
Mhm.
Behind people's houses, behind this church, all that stuff. And they use it. I've literally watched videos and stuff for 2 years now. They use it to travel through the two pockets of woods. So, and to come over from the piece of property that's directly in front of me. And so like they're not living in there, and it's
Yeah,
a very small property. So to do a box blind on what, a 2,000 acre piece of land?
This wasn't nowhere that size.
How big was it?
It was 800.
Okay, so still 800 acres. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah,
sizable, right? To do that, I can see how it might mess them up a little bit, you know? But when it's so small, I just still can't wrap my head around. Like, I heard them in October cutting stuff and banging stuff. And I'm like, oh, they're just building something in the backyard. That's when the deer disappeared. And then as soon as they were done, and I sent you guys photos, the deer started coming back.
mm,
And I saw it on my second to last sit. And I'm like, yo, what? Really? You couldn't wait. You couldn't do it in the summertime. Yeah, it's hot, but bro, there's no way you're seeing deer. So, because I had a camera over there, like,
yeah,
and that's the other thing is it's right there on the property line, so I know what's going on, right? And I'm just like, I can't say anything because technically you're over there, I'm over here, but it was just a really, really kind of, I don't want to say bad situation, but I just was like, you know what? There's nothing I can do. I can't, if that box blind is on his property, there's literally nothing I can say.
oh no,
So now, could I sit up in a tree on that side and just wait? Sure. But why would I do that? Because I'd have to put food out and then the deer are there and he might shoot. And what if he misses and hits me or you know what I'm saying? It's just not worth it.
yeah.
So, all right. Well, I want to talk about your deer season because you and your family must have been mad at these deer this year. I mean, y'all absolutely just knocked it out of the park. You tagged out last year. You killed a 130-inch 6 point, which still to this day I brag to people about. I literally am like, hey, I know a guy that killed a 136 point. What do you know? It's crazy, dude. That deer still to this day is like a legendary deer to me. But yeah, tell me about the season. How did it go from I guess opener to this past weekend?
Well, as we discussed last year, I hunt with a crossbow, but I think I only, man, I don't even know if I went. No, I went. I think I went twice with a crossbow this season. Um, just the deer I was hunting just couldn't get the right wind. We were always getting an east wind, and I needed a west wind. And seemed like it was whenever there was an a west wind, I couldn't go. So
Yeah.
we got into muzzleloader season. Like I told you last year, that's when my family goes out of town. They went to the beach for 5 days. So that's when I capitalized with the time and, I had the time off and I started hunting a deer I called Goliath. Um, and, we were playing chess match. I was getting those stupid wins again, because it warmed up there at the beginning of muzzleloader season. And I just had to I never seen them, but I found the tree. I found an oak tree that had tons of sign around it. It was a water oak. We don't have many. We got clear cut this past year. They clear cut probably close to 150, 175 acres, and that's where most of our white oaks went. They were gone. So we have a bunch of water oaks, and I found a really big one with a lot of sign on it. So I put a camera up right near it, and he started hitting it. And so I kind of figured out where he was. He didn't always bed in the same place, but he was kind of like he would do a little rotation where if he was hitting that tree, he was going to a certain area. So by that, I think I killed him. I can't remember if it was on a Wednesday or Thursday. I know it was October, same day I killed the six pointer last year, the October 15th. Um, so I set up on a food plot because I knew he was going to cross that food plot to get to his bedding because there was a big ditch between the tree and the food plot. So I knew he was going to go that way. I didn't have a camera in the food plot or anything, but I had a feeling he was headed that across that food plot to get to his bedding area. So I set up. The wind was wrong again. There's a tripod over there on that food plot. It wasn't a big food plot. It was probably maybe 80 yards long and maybe 20 yards wide. But it had a hardwood on one side of it, and then had thick bedding on the other side of it. So I set up to where my wind was going to be in my face, looking down the food plot. And I just sat in a chair. I got there about an hour before daylight. Took my loppers, made me a little ground blind, set my chair in it, got my tripod set up. So it's pointing down the food plot. I can only see a little bit of the food plot anyway. And I had some does come out into the food plot. There was 4 does come out. They fed for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And then they went to the hardwoods. And then maybe 10 minutes later, 4 more does came out of the bedding area, and they didn't even really feed. They just kind of crossed and went to the hardwoods, towards the hardwoods. And all of a sudden they just come running back into the food plot. And then I hear, I'm like, oh, okay, buck is close. And then I look through the little saplings that I'm kind of tucked into, and he's standing there like 10 yards from me. And
Oh
I
my
couldn't move.
God.
Had my muzzle loader. I couldn't move or anything because
Yeah.
trees blocking me. So I'm like, oh man, there was still one more doe out there in that food plot, just standing there looking at him. She was about 50 yards from him. And I said, if he'll go towards that doe, I'll have a clean shot as soon as he gets past these trees. They're kind of between me and him, little sapling trees. And sure enough, he saw that doe and he started walking to her. And then he was probably less than 20 yards when I shot. And he hauls off to the thick stuff, the bedding area. Then he just comes back into the food. I'm thinking, my God, he dropped when I shot. Then he
Yeah.
real quick and he goes to the bedding area. I'm like, man, I make a crappy shot. I mean, how do I make a bad shot when it's that close,
Yeah.
And so he comes back out. Then he beds down in the food plot again. And then I'm trying to like load the load, but
Yeah.
see me, you know what I mean? The and then he jumps back up, and then he probably takes 2 or 3 steps and then falls back down again, and he finally lays on his side, and I can see the steam pumping out of his rib cage there. I'm like, all right, it's a lung shot, so we'll be all right. So, but yeah, he laid there and died. But yeah, that was intense having me sitting on the ground, with a buck like that close.
That's crazy. That's so crazy. I remember it's been a couple years, but I remember the feeling sitting in a ground blind and having a deer walk up 5 yards from you, and you're like, oh crap. Like
Yeah,
how close they get, man. It's wild. What did he, and I know this doesn't really matter, but like what did he score? I can't remember. You told us, but
he ended up having 17 points, and he scored 157 and 6/8. Yeah, and I think he's 13 inches wide. He was either 13 or 14 inches wide. I can't remember, but yeah.
dude,
And his main beams weren't even that long. One of them was like 19, the other one was like 21.
how
But
old was he?
do what?
How old was he?
Man, I think he was like 4. That's judging on pictures from last year.
Yeah.
Um, Last year he looked 3.5 to me, and you could tell like he was about 125 inches last year. But you could tell he had some junk already starting to grow, and he had one brow tine that was wanting to split, and he had another split on his one of his G2s. He was
Yeah.
just funky, and he had a lot of mass on his left side last year. But you could tell, man, this deer might be something. And then I started getting pictures of him. I'm like, holy smokes, he blew up. I mean,
Yeah.
in Georgia, you don't have deer that. There's very rare you have deer do that.
Yeah. At least in our area.
Right. They got to be that superstar. It happens, but it's not very often, at least that I get on camera.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean see that's what gets me so excited. Like I was depressed for a couple of days. Like the first 3 days of this week or first 2 days of this week. Dude, it was rough. Cause I'm like, the past 5 months I've been planning hunts on the weekends, been doing deer stuff, and now there's no point, right? Like I'm probably not gonna feed these deer again for 3 to 4 weeks. Just
No,
because
I'm
there's no
definitely
point. There's no point in it. Like why
maybe,
waste the money?
yeah, end
You
of June,
know?
I might start putting some more feed out just here and there when I get my camera set where I want to put them first. But
Yeah.
no, they'll survive on their own.
Oh yeah. Well, I see. My problem is I just like seeing deer.
Yeah.
So I think, but see, that's the thing too, is like I've uh I've actually completely changed up the whole plan. Because my wife dropped this bombshell on me that we're going to Disney this year, apparently.
Ooh.
Didn't know. So I was planning on getting a new truck. I was gonna feed all year, do this, and this.
Nope.
And she said, yeah, she said that, and I was like, well, there goes the new truck. I probably won't feed at both spots. I probably should do a food plot at one of them. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. And then
Yeah.
I'll just get a block, because they don't really go through the blocks that quickly, at least right now. So if I
Right.
want to see deer, just go put a food block out. And I can just watch deer. I like to see them go from where they're at right now to shedding to nubbing up and then grow as they go.
Yeah.
And but yeah, you're right, dude. I mean, Georgia deer don't, and that's the thing. Having so many different people on this podcast, and you hear these stories about, oh, it was 3.5 or 4.5 last year, and then he blew up, and I'm like, I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, that one deer Elmer looks exactly the same this year as he did last year. He just has two kickers.
Yeah.
We don't really get blow ups here. So
Most deer less than 10 inches from
yeah,
4, and maybe less from 4 to 5. They just don't, like I said, you get that superstar. I mean, if he would have made it another year, he might have been 170 inches. But there was people that after I killed them, there was several guys that sent me pictures of them on their properties. So
he would have got killed,
yeah,
most
he
likely.
he was going to get killed.
Is this the same property you had that really funky buck like a year or two ago that you were like, hey, if you want to come over and do some doe management or take
Oh,
a
this is a different one.
no?
Property, yeah.
Still am kicking myself for not taking you up on that. I should have. That would have been really cool. But I haven't shot my gun in like 4 years. So it's probably way off. Um, dude, that's so sick though. So that because you killed a 150 last year, didn't you? Or no?
No, I killed that 6 pointer, and then I killed a 11 pointer. It was 136.
Okay. So how many 150s is that for you now?
Oh, that's the first one for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. The biggest for that was 144.
That's dang. I mean, how's that feel? Like to have, and the thing is too, to know that the genetics there, it's capable. If they get the age on them, it's capable to, bump it up
Well,
like
here
170, 180.
I know that properties had some big deer killed years ago on it. We've been on it. This is our 4th year, but we've never seen any buck that caliber. Like we've seen 130s, um, but never anything like that. That was just like he's just like he's a rare buck, really.
Yeah. So do y'all have any deer, I guess, that are still around that you might think, the next year or two could potentially rival that?
After we only get one buck on that club, so after I killed that one, I pulled all my cameras out and put them in other places. But then I put them back when I was going to go over there to shoot some does, and I put them back. And man, I wasn't getting hardly anything buck wise on camera, so I don't really know what to expect next year. I mean, like the biggest buck I had on camera was like a 6 pointer. Like, I mean, he was a big 6 pointer, not what I killed last year, but 115-inch 6 pointers, pretty big. But yeah, that was the biggest buck I got on camera. I'm hoping they came back late season because I ended up I killed a couple of those over there, and I ended up pulling my cameras. And I pretty much right now they're in kind of coyote mode. I got them in places around my house, tracks around my house that I know coyotes walk through. That's kind of one of their paths they like to take. So that's kind of where my cameras are now. I'm kind of in coyote mode.
We need to get you hooked up with Moultrie so you can have coyote mode cameras and deer mode cameras. I need to call Mark and be like, listen, I know a guy. Know a guy. Dude, that's so sick. But you're not the only one in your family that killed some good deer this year.
Yeah,
I
my
know
little
the kiddos, man, they've been on a tear.
yeah,
That's
my 13-year-old. He started kind of gung ho strong, deer hunting and everything, and then he kind of petered out on me. But my youngest one, he'll sit out there in the dark with me, and he can't even. I'll give him my scanner sometimes so he can kind of look around, but he's just sitting out there in the dark and just listening, and he loves it. Like he can't even see. He's just sitting out there in the dark, just listening. I'll kind of keep, oh, there's one, or something like there's a possum, or what, kind of keep him informed what's going on. But
yeah.
yeah, he just loves being out there. He's like, I
Dude,
want
I could
a scanner. He's like, I made straight A's. I want a scanner. I'm like, dude, those things are kind of expensive.
yeah. Dude, it's crazy how these kids don't understand that money is just not like
Oh yeah,
unlimited. right? Like my daughter came up to me last night and was like, "Can we get a 3D printer?" I'm like, "Can we get a what?" I was like, "Do you know how expensive those things are?" She was like, "Well, what, like a couple $100?" I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. They're like a few thousand." And she's like, "But
Yeah,
I saw one for 300." I'm like, "Yeah, from Temu, that wouldn't even work. Like, let's wait a little bit, kid. You don't need one of those yet."
right.
It's wild. Yeah, I could totally see your son being like out there with you and it's dark and he's not even looking at the scanner and you're all like, "Hey man, look, can I do this?" He's like, Dad, shh, shh, shh. Just let me
He just
enjoy
got
it. Let me
he
enjoy
just
it.
visualize.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
I make him carry a little chair, and he just sits in his little chair behind me. I
That's
always like maybe I put something behind him like a tree or something,
yeah.
but yeah, he just sits out there and he just begs to go, man. He begs like I'm going Friday night. He's like, I want to go with you. I'm like, all right, we'll see, buddy.
I know it's not going to happen, but if Tiffany ever tried to go that route, I would be the happiest dad on the planet because she wants to go. Like I'm gonna have to buy a ground blind for this year because she every single year is like, "Can I go with?" And I'm like, "I'd love to take you." I was like, "But I'm not putting you in a one person hang on, and you're definitely not coming up in the climber. I got nothing for you." It's like I
Yeah,
used to, but then my grandparents had some guy come through and cut some trees, and he destroyed my ground blind, which I don't know how because you can't miss it,
yeah.
and it was a whole thing. But dude, that is awesome. That is so so cool. So I want to back up a little bit for the people who maybe don't know your background and why you choose, because the whole vertical versus crossbow debate always comes up, and I don't care. I If it's legal, do it. But why don't you? Because you're not 85 years old. Why don't you shoot a vertical bow?
Uh, I had one for shoot. I bow hunted for probably 15 years. And I killed deer. I never killed a good buck because the standards. This was mainly before bait, so bow hunting was totally different back then. And now standards never changed as far as was it going to kill a buck or a bow buck or gun buck. They're all the same. But I just kind of got to where I didn't go for years. I mean, it was probably 7 or 8 years. I never even went during bow season, and then I kind of like, I'm like, I want to try to get back out there again during early season. So I bought me a crossbow, and I just, I still don't go that much during bow season. Like I said, I
Yeah,
only went twice this year. And a lot of that is just, I want to get out there again. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I'm not going to get out here and practice with my bow every day. I just don't really have, unless I'm going to practice in the dark, I don't have
yeah,
the time to do that all the time. And I don't think it's fair to the deer to go out there and not be ready for it. And they just don't interest me anymore. I just not
yeah.
before, yeah, I was gung ho. I wanted my bow. I was out there during rifle season bow hunting. I was, yeah.
Me.
So I loved it at one point, but I just kind of fell out of love with it, and you know, just took the easier route. I know when I go out there with my crossbow, if there's something that's within 40 yards, I know I can kill it.
Yeah. All right. Well, for the diehard bow hunters like myself that like to be judgmental, there's your answer.
Yeah,
'Cause, hey, it is what it is, man. It's funny too because I don't think a lot of people know that before I started bow hunting, I hunted with a crossbow for a whole season. I mean, I've got two deer, one right there, which you can't see, and then that little uh, skull mount right there. Killed them both with a crossbow,
I,
and
I've had a crossbow.
I got nothing against it.
I think I've had it for 6 years now. I've killed one turkey and I've killed one deer. That's it.
Oh, that's
So
sick. You
I'm
killed
not
your
worried
turkey with
about
it.
population. Yeah, I killed a turkey with it. There was in a
Dude,
boat,
that's cool.
and yeah, I killed a turkey with it.
So you might be the first person ever on this podcast who has done that. I don't know anybody that's done that. I know a lot of guys that have killed turkeys with their bows, but with a crossbow, that's honestly pretty sick. All right, so I want to change gears a little bit. I want to get your opinion on some stuff because you obviously know your way around big bucks. You've been doing this for a while. You understand Georgia deer, right?
Somewhat.
Probably a lot better than most of us, right? And I talked with Andy about it a couple weeks ago, and I brought up the idea of Georgia going one of two ways, either being a one buck state or having an earn a buck system. And I'm curious your thoughts on that. Because, we get 10 doe tags, 2 buck tags, and then if you draw a quota hunt or you do specialty hunts or whatever it is, you can kill what, 5 or 6 bucks in a year if
Yeah,
you're just that lucky.
maybe more.
Um, yeah, exactly. So do you think that because I saw this come up last summer, do you think that if Georgia went to a 1 buck state in either fashion, that might improve our buck quality? Or do you think that maybe we probably wouldn't really see much of a difference?
Well, let's break it down this way. The latest statistics that the bucks and the does we're killing a little bit more does, but it's not like a substantial amount over the bucks. You see what I'm saying? So if you cut that buck in half, that's that's a lot of deer that's potentially not going to be killed. Which I agree. I think our buck quality could get better for sure, but you got to look on the other end. Maybe the habitat gets worse because we're killing a lot less deer. Because there's a lot of
Okay.
people, a lot. I mean, we eat deer meat, but if I didn't kill a deer, I'm still going to survive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of guys aren't out there really to get deer meat. You know what I'm saying? So I know a lot of guys that don't even eat it, that deer hunt. They donate it or give it to somebody once they kill a deer. But I just, I don't know if there's going to be, I don't know if that's going to be better for our population that we're not killing a lot of deer that wouldn't get killed. I don't think that people are going to start killing more does just because we got 1 buck.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening. There's a lot of people that just don't want to mess with a buck or a doe.
Yeah.
People sitting in the stand. I'm guilty of it. The last day of the season, I went in there. If I see one at last light, I'm going to kill it. But I was after a 130 something inch 8-pointer that never showed up that last day. But I was debating if I was going to do it. And I don't mind. It's gotten to where I don't mind messing with the deer.
Mhm.
Now the processors are so far from my house. That's the pain in the butt is driving 30 minutes to go over there and then driving 30 minutes back home. But that was in my head. Do I really want to drive an hour to drop this deer off? And I decided, you know what? No, I don't want to mess with it. I mean,
That makes sense.
I already killed, let's see, 6 does this season. And my boy killed 1 and 2 bucks. So we had plenty of meat, and we gave meat to families as well. So
Yeah.
everybody that I told I would get a deer, they got their deer. So that's why I said, nah, it's not worth it anymore.
Maybe that's my problem because I get asked that question every year when deer season starts. Like, oh man, especially guys at work. Like my buddies at work, they're like, oh man, if you get one, give me some. I'm like, I'm gonna try. And then I killed one. So I'm like, yeah, you're not getting any. Sorry. No, I
I'll
just
take care of. Like I got a landowner that they want some deer, so they get taken care of. You know, probably the lady that cuts my hair, she gets taken care of first, then the landowner gets taken care of second. But I always get them taken care of, and then I spread the love with the other people.
see, dude, I need a spot that's got a bunch of does so I can do that. Because I've wanted to do that for years. It's just the one spot I did have a bunch of does, I lost it, and I was supposed to get it back, but I never heard back from them. So
Mm.
that's gonna be a task this offseason is try to see what's going on over there. But I just feel like I agree with you on if Georgia went to 1 buck, it's not like everybody would shoot a lot of does or more does, right? Because I think I saw somewhere, or maybe somebody told me this, but they were saying that like even with that extra doe season that we had this year, um, the doe numbers were still down to what they've been in the past, and like
Right.
people just are passing does and stuff. So that's when the thought of like an earn a buck system came into mind, where it's like if we had you get 1 buck tag, and say maybe I don't know, I to me 10 does is a lot. Like that's almost too much. I mean, I love the opportunity, but that's a lot of deer. I mean, you're talking what? Let's say a doe weighs on average 150 pounds. You
No,
get
that's
10 doe. Well, I'm talking before dressed. I'm talking before dressed. So
even that. Probably about 100, maybe 110 is probably average.
okay,
100
well let's make it
is a dozilla.
Well, let's make it easy for my non-mathematical brain. Let's say 100 pounds.
Okay, yeah,
If
that's
you
more.
kill 10 100-pound does, that is 1,000 pounds of meat. My deep freezer is not going to hold that. And yes, then there's donations. But I mean, I just wonder if we gave an incentive, for people to kill more does. Then we could get the numbers down like what they want to do. The Bucks also can, maybe have more because there's going to be guys that don't pay attention to that don't listen to it. They're going to shoot 2 bucks. They've already probably been shooting 4 or 5 off their property because they're young and dumb and these deer don't know what they're doing, right? But for the person like you and me that follows the rules and regulations, and hopefully our neighbors do too. I've kind of, I just wonder if that might be the solution to the lower doe numbers is give us a reason other than donation, other than the meat. Because once you get enough meat, like you were just saying, you've got enough meat and you've donated enough meat. So you're not out there trying to kill does anymore. Right. So if there was an incentive where it's like, okay, you got 1 buck tag and say you filled it, but then you want to go get another one. Well, you kill a doe, you get that buck tag. I mean,
Yeah,
do you think that's something that might work? Because I know
yeah,
Illinois does that, or Ohio, or somebody does that.
yeah. I think that's a great idea. Yeah,
I want to go to like one of those DNR meetings they have in the summertime and pitch that. I'm sure I'm not the only one that said it, but so I don't know. I feel like Georgia, Georgia's so what's the word? I don't want to say generous. I guess generous is the right word with our tags, but if they're so generous with the tags and the season is ridiculously long, why are we having lower harvest numbers is what I want to know.
yeah,
Because I mean, I haven't seen deer hardly at all this year. And I don't even mean hunting. I mean like driving on the road. I might see them 4 times a month driving all over the state. So I'm not saying the numbers are down, like the actual population numbers, but something's got to be happening
yeah.
because
I mean, I had more this season. I've had more blank stands than I have, and I can't even remember. Like even on really good populated tracks, like okay, for example, in early December when we got some of the warm weather.
mhm,
Oh no, I think it was around Christmas or it might have been before that. We've had so many heat waves in
I
December,
know.
but
We had late November, we had Christmas. I mean, it
right.
was horrible.
All right, I sat on a spot and I seen like 3 deer. Okay, the last day of the season, I saw over 40. Like this, that I mean, all this science about the heat doesn't affect the deer movement. I haven't heard anybody say the heat doesn't affect the deer movement during the daylight. I hear they're moving the same amount each day or around the same amount each day, even if it's warmer than normal conditions. But as far as daylight movement, I mean, I can sit here and tell you it makes a big difference. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
when
Dude,
it,
there was a deer study done. This guy on YouTube, I think his YouTube name's like Whitetail Research or something. He did a
mm-hmm,
study on that, and it was mid-October, so it's a little different. But he was saying that when he was following this deer with a drone, because he took a whole season off and he was patterning these deer. You probably know who I'm talking about.
yeah,
Yeah. So he did a video and he was saying that when the temperatures were higher, that the specific buck he was following, and I think some subsequent does, they moved, but they didn't move that far.
yeah,
And I could, aside from this season just being a weird season, like a really weird season, I could totally see that. Because deer, the way they work, like you got to think in November and December, those deer are fluffed up. They're
yeah,
they're ready for the wintertime. And when it's 80 degrees, they're hot. They're not going to be moving.
yeah.
They've got to move the blood from their nose and from their ears, and like they got to cool down somehow. So
I think
I
they're,
I could totally see that.
but it's not going to be until later. You know,
Yes.
when it cools down a little bit more after the sun goes down, they're going to move. They're still going to eat. They're still going to do their normal pattern, but it's not going to be during daylight when it's a record high. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I know I hear it on the podcast, the research and stuff, but man, I just been hunting too long to know. Like, this is not going to be a great night or a great afternoon when it's hot.
Well, and the perfect example of that is last week. Last, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, Saturday and Sunday, I had I had Elmer daylighted. So I hunted that Monday thinking, okay, he's going to do it. 2 days in a row, he's going to do it. They showed up an hour after daylight when I was already gone. And I paid attention, which I mean, typical, right? Like you never know. The wind did shift that day, and I kind of expected their movements to shift with it, and apparently it did. But what I noticed is as it got warmer throughout the week into the weekend, this past weekend, I saw less and less deer.
Yeah.
Even close to daylight. They went from an hour after to 2 hours to three, and then it stuck around the 3 to 4 range. And now they're back to right before daylight or right
Yeah.
after, you know?
Hmm.
And I could see it. And I knew I went and hunted Friday when it was 75 degrees. I knew I wasn't going to see anything, but it was the only time I could go. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
you got to try. I mean,
And
what do you
when I,
do? Like,
when I say that I saw 3 deer, then I saw 40 deer, I'm hunting the same wind, and I got the same. I'm not bumping any deer. I can get to this stand. I got a trail raked out through the hardwood so I can get to this stand, and it pops up on a hill, so they never even know I'm there. So it's definitely a weather factor.
yeah, I mean, I hate going against like deer science, but the problem is a lot of those studies are done in the Midwest where these deer really are different. I mean, fight me on it if you want to, but Georgia deer compared to every other state, they're totally different. And I haven't even hunted out of state. Like I'm going to Wisconsin this year. I'm very excited because I know I'm going to see deer. There's an unbelievable amount of deer up there.
Yeah.
And here it's like, I hunt in Monticello. And Monticello, Jasper County, is the deer capital of Georgia.
Yep.
You know how many deer I've seen over there this year? Like five. It's like, it makes no sense. And yeah, okay, I killed him. Where I can't ever do this. That buck right there. Killed him this past season. So I'm very thankful for that. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
But that deer was the last deer that I saw in the stand, and that was the first week of November. Makes
Hey,
no sense.
I'm hunting the deer capital too. So
Yeah, yeah. So it doesn't. Yeah, but you see a lot more deer than I do. So I don't know. I don't know what it is, man. But I do want to segue into it. And we'll probably end up. Yeah, we'll probably end up ending on this just because I know this is a deep topic. But this past deer season, what was going on? Because it was on fire before the acorns started dropping. Those acorns started dropping, and I should have taken up a different hobby or something because
yeah.
these deer were nowhere to be seen. Even I talked to Chip up at New Bern Taxidermy about it, and I was kind of voicing my concerns about it to him. I'm like, dude, I've got the public hunt next week. It's going to be kind of warm. Like, I don't know what to do here. And he's like, yeah, you're not going to see anything. He's like, the acorns are fall. There's so many acorns that fell, and it's so warm right now that these deer are all in the oak bottoms. And if you can't find that or you can't find a way to get in there, you're not going to see anything. I mean, what do you think? Like, what was it just a weird year because of the heat and the amount of acorns? I mean, what
Well,
happened?
I talked to another guy that uh, he was concerned about his deer numbers, how they had dropped, as far as sightings,
Yeah.
dropped years past. And so he hired someone with a thermal drone, and the deer are still there. But you're hunting the same way you've always hunted in a acorn um, heaven around here.
Yeah.
So changed the way the deer moved. Everybody saw it. Everybody's sitting over their food plots or their corn and everything, but the deer were not interested in those at all for
Yeah.
at least a month. And then we like you
Wasted hundreds of dollars feeding these deer, and I didn't even have to. And the crazy thing is, I thought so. This is what blew my mind. I thought that the small spot where I had all those bucks over the summertime was going to produce acorns like crazy because it did last year. And
mm,
Josh killed a buck over acorns and food in that exact spot. I'm 2 trees ahead of the tree that he was in. Okay, so it's the same spot. And so I was blowing his phone up. I'm like, dude, what do I do? What did you do last year? Because I hunted it last year and I had a couple buck sightings and they were coming to food and everything was cool. And, I just never got a shot. But what did you do early season? And he told me and I did it and nothing happened. And the food just, molded up and withered away and all that other stuff. And So then I'm looking in the trees, and I literally have like my rangefinder. I'm looking up in the trees to see if there's any acorns, and I see nothing. 2 weeks go by, and I'm going out there, and I find some scrapes and stuff. There's acorns everywhere,
Oh
but they
yeah.
weren't even hitting that. And so I'm like, all right, if there's this many acorns, and a lot of it's red oak, so that's late season food, but I still was like, all right, late season, they're gonna hammer it. And they just didn't. And I know the neighbor and all that other stuff, but it's like, bro, even the nighttime, like even nighttime, I saw maybe one or two deer for over a month. And
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. So you think it was the acorns. It had to be.
Yep. I'll tell you the story about my youngest. He killed a real nice 9-pointer in Jasper County. Uh, all right, so we had him on camera all summer.
Mm-hmm.
He was in some thin pines. That's where I had him the most. But then I moved my camera to some hardwoods when the acorns started falling, and there was a stand already down there, but there was a ditch that was that stand was like 50 yards from that ditch. So we tried to hunt it one time, and you know how during early season you get those stagnant afternoons, and then
Yeah.
the wind's liable to go everywhere. So every time the wind is sucking down that drain, and that's where the deer want to come. So what I did was I moved the I put a ground blind up, and it was looking down. Like I said, it was going down into a drain. So I moved it up as far as I could up the hill, and I just cut me like a lane that was probably 4 yards wide, so I could just put some corn down there at the end in front of my camera. And this deer had never dated. I hadn't got a picture of this deer in the daylight since last season. And sure enough, man, our first hunt there, he comes. I'm not expecting to see him. He comes right out and gets in our little shooting lane, and he puts an awesome shot on him. But he went down in that freaking drain. I couldn't get him out for nothing. I had to call in reinforcements with a 4-wheeler to drag the hill, man. But yeah, that was a pretty cool hunt. That deer had tons of mass.
Yeah.
That one he shot, and then he shot one we've been watching for the last 3 years over here by my house. Not a huge deer, but he was mature. He was a 9-pointer. He had a big knot on his leg. That's how I knew the same deer over and over again, or
Yeah.
year after year. But yeah, we hunted that deer for probably 2 weeks before we finally seen him in November. But yeah, my little one, he's a
He's
killer.
a killer.
Yeah,
He's a killer. Dude, I was so hyped when you posted that and told us about it. I was freaking out. I guess, the lesson to take from this season is when the acorns are heavy, find an oak bottom because that's
yeah.
the only way you're going to do it.
And
And
this, when it's like this though, you hear about the feed tree.
mhm,
I was able to find the feed tree because there wasn't a lot of acorns around where I was at. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But when you got every 20 feet, you have a white oak that's dropping. Man, it's hard. It's
Well,
really
and
hard.
it throws you off too because like the same spot. I mean, even actually no, my Monticello spot. There's a lot of. I mean, it's so I think I've told you the setup, but it's an open field about 200 yards behind the house. So you go down in this little saddle and you go up and you're on top of this. I wouldn't even call it a ridge. It's like a hill, right? You got this big open field. I say big, maybe 40 by 40 yards. Just clearing.
Right.
And then behind it is nothing but big woods. Like I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of acres, but a lot of it is pines. And yeah, there's some oaks, but most of it is pines. And I remember because I texted you guys and I was like, dude, I found all this sign. It was December, I think, and it was three scrapes right in a row,
Hmm.
right? Well, I was excited about that, but the thing that I feel like throws it off and makes it maybe not more difficult, but still extremely hard is when you've got a huge acorn crop like we had this year. Rubs and scrapes, in my opinion, and tell me if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, when you find rubs and scrapes, I don't even know if that helps at that point because, yeah, they might have been there, but they could have just been feeding and was like, oh, you know what? I like this place. Paws at the ground, peas in it, goes off and never comes back. And I just don't know if seeing sign like that is really beneficial when you have a huge mass crop because, like we said before, those deer don't have to move. if they're sleeping in their bed and they're getting pelted in the head by acorns, I don't think they really have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's kind of the season that we just had, at least from what I saw.
I like putting my cameras over scrapes, around mid October till
Yeah.
November. That's when they're really hyped up on them. But I don't base my hunting on scrapes. I never have. They're just so sporadic, and most are done at night. There's places where I see scrapes, and I see bucks work scrapes every year. Numerous bucks work different scrapes. On different properties. But I've never killed a mature buck going to a scrape ever. So I don't base my hunting around the scrapes. I'm more based around food and during the rut where on properties where I know they like to to run through, looking for
Yeah.
does, checking does, or that's basically what I food um and rut. That's how I kill deer. I don't kill them over scrapes or rubs or anything like that. I know guys that are successful, doing it. But that's just not how I go about doing it.
You want to see something that just makes me so mad.
What?
So this is one of my Vulture cameras sends photos normally at 8:02. It just finished sending them at 8:22. And tell me why. I don't know if you can see. You probably won't be able to, but see if I
I
can.
can see deer, but I can't see any antlers.
No, it's not, but it's does. It's three different
Oh,
does. And I'm convinced, I said it earlier today, I'm convinced these deer know when deer season's over because they do this every single freaking year. It's so annoying, dude. And that's close to one of the spots where there is more oak trees and there's more um, there was scrapes and rubs and all that other stuff. So next season, I'm gonna be sitting there, right? It's on top of a ridge, it's got a creek bottom, like it's perfect. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the scrape thing, I use them, and I get excited when I see them.
yeah, oh, I do too. I do too, definitely.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've had maybe, and it was the summertime, so I don't want to say that it correlates to deer season, but I don't think I've ever actually seen a buck hit a scrape, a mature buck. I've seen young bucks do it, right? Like I remember one of the first, I think it was actually the day, no, it was the season that I killed Pickles back here behind me. It was the week before. There was a 1 year old little, forky, whatever, that came
Hmm.
in and he stood up on his hind legs and made a scrape.
Yeah,
And I was
that's
like, oh, that's the first time I've ever seen that. And I was like, is that actually a deer? Like, am I sure that's a deer and not something else? Because I just didn't know they did that. And but yeah, dude, other than that, I mean, I saw a spike make a scrape this year. But nothing, it's like these mature bucks just know. And I know they do because obviously they don't get old by being stupid, right?
right.
So I guess the best way to wrap up this episode and really help the people listening understand like how difficult it really is for us. What would you say is the key factor? If I said, Darrell, give me the one thing for Georgia deer that you've got to have locked down in order to be successful, what would it be?
Um, I can give you like well, how about this? I'll give you a kind of a scenario that I'm always looking for when I'm out in the woods. I
Mhm.
love transition zones. Where the hardwoods meet up to a bedding area, or even even when they meet pines, that's a transition zone. But the more if you can meet up with hardwoods or a food plot to a bedding area, that's like my favorite. That's my favorite place to hunt. And actually, I want to tell you that buck I killed this year, I told you about the feed tree where I
Mhm.
was getting the camera. I didn't know it at the time because I'm focused on the does and everything, but he went right by my camera by that feed tree coming to me. So that I thought that was pretty cool. Because I was about 100 yards from that tree, but I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, transition zones. Like that's what I'm looking for when I'm walking through the woods. Monotony, a bunch of trees, monotony. The same thing spread out over. I mean, that's cool to hunt, but where it backs up to something else, that's
Mhm.
right. be right there, especially if it's close to food.
So would you look for like, because I'm changing up how I'm hunting this year a lot. I'm switching over most likely to just strictly hang on setup and setting up kind of low with really good back cover, kind of like, you know, below the canopy, but with cover around, So that would mean thicker stuff. Would you say that having like maybe a thicket or some really, really thick, like I don't want to say briars, but you get what I'm saying, like the undergrowth, like thick
Yeah.
undergrowth. Would you say that to an open area, would that be considered to you a transition zone?
Well, I mean, are you talking about where a thicket meets an open area, or?
Yeah, yeah, basically. Like, so I'll give you what I'm thinking of. So the church spot, it's got where I'm at is in the middle of really, really thick like saplings and bushes and undergrowth and all of that on my right side. And on my left side, it's the same thing. And then on the other side of those is open woods. So
Yeah, I mean,
would you
right.
consider that like transition, or is that just kind of, the same woods, but it's got some thick spots?
Oh, you talking about where you got woods and you got thick stuff? That's not really a transition. I
Okay.
mean, you got when I'm talking about transition, I'm talking about like a hard line where you can
Okay.
tell, okay, some pines are meeting up to some hardwoods, or a
Hmm.
pine meeting up to a cutover, something like that. My experience with mature bucks and cutovers, you can have a huge cutover, but they're not necessarily going to be out there in the middle, the furthest away from, you know, an opening. They don't. The bucks that I've tracked down and jumped and put cameras on where they're coming out of a bedding or a thick clear cut, they don't get in there that far unless they absolutely have to. They're on the edges, and then when they come out, they'll walk the edges because that way they're like 3 steps back into where you can't see, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, they don't necessarily bed in the middle unless they actually have to in like a big thicket, you know.
Got
They'll be on the edge. They might during the daytime, you know, the everybody knows they put the collars on these deer. They're
it.
not sitting there all day laying down. There's no such thing as a nocturnal buck. They're up during the daylight, but they might go into that thicket a little further then to eat, so they're not
Yeah.
out in the open in the middle of the day exposed. Unless you're in a neighborhood is different.
Yeah.
You're,
Neighborhoods. I don't even touch those right now.
yeah, are different. They'll come out whenever. I see them
Yeah.
at work all the time. Those deer are different, but you talking about where they got a lot of room to roam. They stay in those thickets during the daylight, and then they'll come out. They'll come out in the daylight. When it gets closer to dark. Or
Mhm.
early in the morning when they're coming back. But yeah, that's hunting a cutover. God, I love it. I absolutely the edge of a cutover or transitions on there, man. That's some great hunting.
Well, there you go, man. That's the answer to it. I'm gonna have to implement that this year. Well, look, man, thank you for coming on. I know it's been a long time. Um, I really want to get you back on maybe like midsummer so we can talk about sort of what we're seeing growth wise and
Yeah,
plans and whatnot. But
great.
dude, congratulations on a great season. Happy for the kids who just absolutely embarrassed all of us. I mean, let's be honest here. I'm extremely happy for them and proud of them. I'm happy for you, man. Like you've got it. You've got it made. So yeah, dude, seriously, thank you for coming on and dropping all this knowledge. We really needed to hear it.
Yeah, maybe we get with Thor and Andy.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot about that. All right. We'll do that. Yeah, I'm gonna pick out maybe like February time frame. We can get the three of us together. Hopefully by then, um, I'm gonna have the actual in-person setup done. I'm still waiting on some cords and stuff to get here for me to be able to set that up, but we'll find a day.
I
Maybe we can
want
get all the boys in here.
I want to do a little plug. If anybody wants to go I live around Walton County, so Walton, Morgan, Oconee, um, Gwinnett, even if you all, I got a scanner, I got a scope, and I don't mind taking people and letting them shoot or whatever on their properties and everything. But anybody wants to go predator hunt and try it out, you want to try it out before you spend $3,000 on a thermal scope. You don't even know if you really want to. You're kind of on the fence. Just hit me up on Facebook. We'll get together and I like taking people, and I don't mind having other people shoot. That's I'm not a shooting hog where not the most important thing to me. I like being out there and having fun, and I
Oh
respect
yeah, man.
everybody's property as well.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I hope people go do that, man. I would. Oh, speak of the devil, there's my dog barking right now. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's raising hell about something. Yeah, dude, no, that's awesome. I love the fact that you're willing to take people out because not a lot of people do that these days, you know. So that is awesome. That's not a shameless plug. That's a great plug. That was awesome, man. But yeah, dude, seriously, congratulations on a great season, and I guess we'll see you next time in the group episode.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you later.